Yo, what is the upskis, everybody? Welcome back to another episode of the GXGamerCast. This is episode 53, and I finally did it, everybody. I have finished Tears of the Kingdom, and this is going to be my final review for this incredible adventure of a game. Goodness gracious. So this is part 2. So if you haven't listened to part 1, it's going to make this episode a little bit confusing. Might be, why didn't you talk about this? Why didn't you talk about that? It's probably in the other episode, and if I didn't talk about it in that episode, then I'm just an idiot, okay? So that's fine. So make sure you go back and listen to the first episode. I believe that was in and around my 60-hour mark. My first 60 hours just talked about how I was feeling with the game, things I was liking, things I didn't like, so on and so forth. And this will be the finale. I'm going to mostly be talking about the main temples, the final battle, so there might be some spoilers if you don't want to hear about any of the temples or any of the boss fights that go down in the temples, then stay away. But I'm also going to be talking about just some of the incredible moments. I clocked in at about 160 hours where I finished. So we got about 100 hours of gameplay, so there's going to be notes in there of just great things that I experienced throughout my time in the Kingdom of Hyrule. So we'll get into the Legend of Zelda talk finally. I'm so excited. But we're going to talk about some stuff that I've been up to over the last week or so. So I always encourage my listeners, if you want to let me know what you've been up to, if there's just an awesome television show you've been digging, you just want to let somebody know about it, I'd love to hear about it. Same thing goes with movies, lots of movies. If you've been watching a good movie, saw something old that you'd never heard of, or just obscure weird movie, I'd love to hear about it. And of course, video games. You're just digging on a video game, rather new, old, whatever, just, don't spoil anything, but let me know what you're playing and how you're digging it. There's just so much damn stuff out there, I can't keep my finger on all the pulses of everything, so I love hearing recommendations, and, maybe it'll be my next favorite thing of all time. So let's get into it. Speaking of next favorite thing of all time, I got a fantastic recommendation from my buddy Billy. He recommended the television show Invincible, which is funny. It's odd when these kind of things happen. You just happen to hear about, rather a video game, a TV show, a fucking new sandwich that came out to a restaurant or something, and then you just kind of don't stop hearing about it, and that's been Invincible for me for the last little bit. I feel like, I don't know if I feel like I've seen this comic in one of my collections when I was a kid or something. It looks awfully familiar, but it's an animated show, very old school looking, but kind of modern, comic book superhero show with a nice twist to it. I won't tell you anything about the twist. You're just going to have to just watch the first episode. If you dig it, you dig it. If you don't, oh well. But yeah, after watching the first episode of Invincible, I was completely sucked in. I was like, oh yes, I love this kind of stuff where it's just a little bit off the beaten path of your normal stuff. So that's really all I want to say about that, but I crushed the show, absolutely crushed it, completed the whole first season of it, and enjoyed it all the way through. Fantastic, really enjoyed that. Probably going to be one of my favorite shows of the year, will be Invincible. I am very excited for the second season. I heard that they announced that is coming. I don't know if it's going to be soon. Hopefully nice and soon. And there's also an Adam Eve episode that's also there. I have not watched that one yet. Very confused. They make it seem like there's a whole second season, but it's just one episode. But yeah, definitely going to mow down on that episode at some point. But Jesus, check out Invincibles. It's on. I watched it on Amazon Prime. Excellent show. Absolutely excellent. Only thing I'll warn you of, it is an adult show. So it may be a cartoon, but it is not for children. So there you go. But awesome. Freaking loved it. Speaking of loved it, so far, I finished Succession, so I've been eyeing up a new TV show. I already plowed through Invincible, and that only has the one season. So I was looking for something with a little bit more meat on the bone. And I don't know, there's just a show that caught my eye, and it was Reservation Dogs. It was on Disney Plus is where I found it, and it it just looked cool. I mean, it definitely kept mixing up with Reservoir Dogs, which is a movie. This is Reservation Dogs. It's kind of teens, younger teenagers living in like I don't know if it's a trailer park necessarily, but it's just a young teen show, and they're getting into shenanigans. It's got a lot of Native American, like all themed, like all the people are Native American, and it's got a really cool like addition of Native American folklore and stuff like that I'm really, really enjoying so far. Only have a handful of episodes, but yeah, really good. I think I've said this before, but I am definitely much preferring shows that are like clocking in under a half hour in length of the episodes. Ones that are over that, I get a little bit, it's got to be like, I got to be really, really into it, and Invincibles was like a 45 to 55 minutes, I think, but loved it. I wish it was longer, but yeah, especially this is Reservation Dogs, I don't know, it's a mix, it's a whole bunch of stuff. It's comedy is its main thing, but it's got like good stories. It's funny. It's definitely funny, I'll give it that. And it also, when you see a meme online and you don't know where it's from, and then you're watching something and you're like, bam, there's that meme that I always see. I got that with Reservation Dogs. It was very, very exciting, very satisfying when that goes down. That was wicked, but so far so good with Reservation Dogs. I heard, I think the third season just came out, so that's good. I'm going to finish it. I'm into it. I'm digging it so far. So if anyone else out there is watching it, let me know what you think of the show as well. And I would recommend it. It's a nice, easy, good little show. I must admit, nice stuff. Okay. What do we got? We got a couple movies this week. First off, we got Moon Age Daydream. This is a David Bowie documentary, and I love David Bowie, a huge fan of his music, absolutely love his music, and once this got announced or whatever, I was like, oh my goodness, that's a must-watch for me once it comes out to one of my streaming things or whatever, and it finally did. I think it was on... Oh boy, it wasn't Disney. I think it was also on Prime. Anyway, it's a very interesting movie. Definitely wasn't what I was expecting, but it was very cool. It's just filled to the brim with old footage of Bowie, just cleaned up in HD, gorgeous, tons of interviews and quotes and stuff like that. I just found that it did, I don't know, I struggled to follow along, like, what the fuck was going on. Career-wise, it was a little bit all over the map. It didn't, I don't know, it was just kind of felt like a compilation of a lot of really great archival footage, which is great. Not necessarily what I was looking for, but it was enjoyable. I mean, me, even as a huge David Bowie fan, it just wasn't necessarily what I was hoping for. I like it more to go in depth with the career and crazy stories from on the road and tours and stuff like that. This was definitely more philosophical and had more messaging to it and stuff like that, but David Bowie, one of the greatest ever, and what a showman. Very, very interesting. So if you love that kind of cleaned up footage from the old days, it's got a lot of that. So it was good in that, just not necessarily what Daddy was looking for. And now the other movie that I checked out this week. A lot of talk going around about the IMDb. People are talking about their lists or whatever, and I looked on and I saw the number one movie, at least in the fan rating, was Shawshank Redemption, and a little bit of a shameful, what do you call it? I don't know. I'm admitting to, I've never seen this movie before. There you go. But now I have. I watched Shawshank Redemption just to spur of the moment. I'm like, let's just watch it. Boom. Put it on, and wow, just a fucking excellent movie. Now, to call it the greatest movie of all time, according to the fans of IMDb or whatever, that's pushing it. I mean, it was really good. It's not even my favorite prison movie, I would say. Personally, I liked Escape from Alcatraz better. That's just me personally, but this was a fantastic movie, not taken away from the movie. Excellent movie. I mean, Morgan Freeman is in it, and very nice. I mean, the last half hour just had me on the edge of my seat. I was just like, oh shit, like, and everything's coming together. Yeah, I think it's definitely a must-watch. I would say, for sure. It still holds up very good. Obviously, a bit of an adult-themed movie. It's a prison movie, so a lot of it takes place in prison and whatnot. But really, really good story. Great twist at the end. Acting, of course, superb. Though I didn't like the main guy that much, only because his character is supposed to be a little bit emotionless and cold and stuff like that. So it was a little bit dry, but I thought it was still an excellent performance. Morgan Freeman, I loved. So it kind of takes place over about 20 years, I think. It's like you start at the beginning of the movie, him getting sentenced to life in prison, and then you follow along like the next 20 years or something. Very cool. I love that kind of concept. And Morgan Freeman at the beginning, he's also in there for life, and he'll go to these like parole meetings. And at the beginning, there's like 4 scenes where he has a parole meeting, and as the movie goes on, he gets like less and less optimistic about it. And of course, it's got a lot of sad shit going on to it, a lot of powerful messages to it. It's an excellent film, absolutely excellent, but it wouldn't be the number one movie on my list personally, but excellent. I really, really enjoyed it. Very, very good stuff. Holds up absolutely. All right, let's talk about frickin' video games that I've been playing over the last week. So I have been still just absolutely smitten in love with Theater Rhythm, Final Bar Line, Final Fantasy. Oh my goodness. I still haven't cleared all the games yet, but I have technically beaten the game. Like, I've rolled credits, but there's still so much for me to do in that game, and I plan on doing it because I'm in love with this game. I love this game. Oh my goodness. It's just so much fun. If you, again, check this game out if you haven't. Highly, highly recommend it for Switch. Phenomenal handheld game to bring wherever you want. If you just want to bump out a couple of songs, before you hop into the car to work, it's so perfect. Like, there's nothing better than rocking the Final Fantasy VII battle theme like 10 minutes before you go to work. It's just like, it's so much fun. And I'm still working my way up to the highest difficulty. Haven't quite gotten there yet, but man, what a fucking gem of a game. I'll definitely be talking about this game a lot, and I plan on playing it a lot more. And it's also gotten me in the mood to play a real Final Fantasy game. Not just the music, but listening to all the music has definitely gotten me in the mood. And I selected Final Fantasy 7. I went with 7. I beat 6 already this year, so I said, fuck it, let's just go to 7. I really wanted to do 8, but because I've never touched it, never started that one, nothing. All I have on that is I had the toys growing up, and I remember watching my cousin play it once, which was cute. But 7, I know so much about 7, but I've never actually beaten it, so I want to do that. I want to beat it, and now with the update and quality of life, it's excellent. I'm very far, not very far, but I'm far enough in the game, like I'm way past where you would be in the Final Fantasy VII remake, so I'm way past there, so having a real good time with it. Just nostalgia. I'm not at the point yet where I left off when I was much younger. I forget where I was, but I was pretty damn deep in the game. But that was kind of my ongoing situation with Final Fantasy games. Get like 75-80% of the way through and then just stop I just don't know why I would do that. I hated that, but going through Final Fantasy VII, really enjoying that. I am taking notes for that one, so I'm planning on doing an episode for Final Fantasy VII in the near future. So if you want to send in questions for that now, be my guest. I would love that. That would be excellent. Speaking of excellent, I was talking about I was in the mood for a first-person shooter. I've selected one. It is Titanfall 2. I did a underrated games episode not long ago, and that the constant talking of Titanfall 2, it's almost on every underrated list, and I was like, all right, I'm ready. Let's see what the hype is about. And holy shit, this thing is good. That is some good shit right there. I am blown away. I'm a little bit blown away by Titanfall 2, not gonna lie. It is so tight. The shooting is so good and so familiar to me because I played so much Call of Duty. But it feels like a fucking beautiful Call of Duty game. It's made by Respawn Team, which is a lot of guys that worked on Call of Duty. It's a lot of the ones that I loved playing growing up, and oh my goodness. So right away I got this familiarity, and then you get this huge Titan thing. It's fucking awesome. And each level of the campaign, they're just like introducing this new badass thing. Like, you're just a powerhouse. Really, really fun. You're flying around, fast-paced, frenetic. Really fun. It's more than likely going to be in the discussion next time I do an underrated list, but I want to finish it off first. I'm probably like a little over halfway, something like that. But wow, do not sleep on Titanfall 2. You might be a little exhausted of people telling you that, but they're not lying. Like, I was on that fence too a little bit. I was like, all right, everyone's talking about this. All right, let's check it out. It fucking slaps. It's really freaking good, I must admit. And apparently it's short. It's a nice, short, sweet campaign, that from what I've read. So if you're in for that, that's what I was in for. Highly, highly enjoying this game. Excellent so far. And my wife and I, we played a game together the other night, Untitled Goose Game. Oh, jeez, what a fucking awesome, 2 hours we had. Giggling the whole freaking time. It's such a silly, silly, silly game. You're two geese, and you're just fucking with people. You're just trying to fuck with people, and it's kind of a puzzle game, but it's incredibly fun. And yeah, you can, we beat it, I guess, rolled credits in a couple hours, and yeah, it was excellent time. There's a lot more to do after the 2 hours. There's a lot more little challenges and shit, but wow, we had a fantastic night. If you and the missus or you and a friend are looking for something to do, Untitled Goose Game, man, you'll be in for a few hours of some great laughs. It was a really good time, and I give it the seal of approval because my wife loved it, and she's pretty picky with video games, and yeah, she dug this one quite a bit. I would say she liked it more than I did, so you can take that for what it is. But yeah, really, really, really fun. It was on the PS Premium, so I downloaded it, and yeah, we had a great time with that one. So I would recommend that, and that's it. That's all I've been up to over the last week or so. So again, let me know what you've been up to, and enough of that chit chat. Let's get into the big kahuna. You know what I'm saying? It's Tears of the Kingdom. Okay, so again, make sure you go listen to the first part or you're going to be a little confused. But before we go into talking about all of the temples and the final boss fight and all that great stuff, just got to touch on some stuff before we get into all of that talk. Just some things I didn't get to talk about, or I didn't get to yet in the first episode. So I forgot to talk about the Zonai, the new ancient robot dudes. They're cute. At the beginning, they're cute. I don't know, but they're definitely cool. I guess they're kind of like these ancient robotic things, but they teach you the new skills and stuff like that at the beginning, and you can find them all around and stuff like that. And you'll be finding Zonai devices. You can collect those from big gumball type mechanisms. They're really neat. They're very satisfying. You throw the little charges in there, and then out come a little handful of random little devices. It could be a cooking pot. It can be anything that you'll find around. You'll end up getting these into those little gumball machines. I wish you could choose. I mean, kind of like how it was when I was a kid with those damn gumball machines. You don't really get to pick. You just kind of get what you get, which is kind of how it goes in Legend of Zelda as well. But you get a ton of these things. You'll find them in chests. You'll find them in enemies. They're all over the frickin' place. But they're very useful I was just using them the other day before I went into the final boss fight. I was like, oh, I need to cook up a whole bunch of these meals. And I'll just put down 5 of these portable pots. Bam, made a bunch of meals, and off I went. And yeah, so they're extremely useful. You'll find them all over the place. In terms of the gumball machines, I think they're all in the sky. I think there might be a couple of them that are down on the ground, but for the most part, they're in the sky. Rarely, the one that I wanted the most all the time was batteries. I wanted batteries all the frickin' time. Oh, they're just so damn useful, and I just could never get enough batteries. Always wanted batteries. And then the last one, I was just getting into the auto build, and oh buddy, so now I can fully expand onto the auto build and how awesome it was. So I definitely was complaining a little bit in the last one about how sometimes it was tedious to build things, especially rebuilding things that you've already built a bunch of times. You're like, oh, how many times do I need to craft up this fucking wagon with wheels and put a fucking karaoke or whatever the hell they're called and bring them over. But auto build just completely melted that problem away. I would highly suggest that you go after and try and get the auto build. Earlier on in your playthrough, goddamn, I didn't get it until probably around 75 hours or so. So, I mean, I enjoyed building it, but it came in just a little bit late. I got a little bit annoyed rebuilding certain things, but auto build, absolutely spectacular. So with the auto build, it will like kind of keep a little memory of things that you've built. So if you're just going by and you made a little boat and like 10 minutes later you're like, oh, I need that boat again, you can go to auto build and bam, there's that little boat. So fucking crucial, so amazing. And you just need to use the little fucking stones or whatever that you find, the little luminous stones. And at that point, I had, I think, like 2,500 of them. I went nuts. I just collected so many of them. So I had complete and utter freedom to make whatever I want whenever I needed it, no matter how much it cost. So obviously, the less intense your build is, the less materials it's going to need, the less it's going to cost to auto build it. If it's crazy and got like 20 batteries on it and 10 pieces, it's going to cost you a bit. But for me, like I said, I had so much of that resource, didn't need to worry about it. So that was great. And in the depths, you'll kind of deal with the Yiga clan. We'll talk a little bit about them in a bit, but you'll find their little hideouts, and in them you'll get schematics for really awesome, like, I wouldn't have fucking thought of that to build really awesome schematics. Like, oh dude, there's like hover machines, hovercrafts, you name it, beam, like there's like traps. There's a ton of awesome little schematics that you're gonna find all throughout the underground. I feel like a lot of them are underground. There's probably a handful that you'll find above ground, but I found most of them underground, and they were excellent. Again, the one that I used the most, I love the monocycle. It's like the little fucking motorcycle. It was great. It was really fast, but it was like the second you hit anything that's got an incline of 1 millimeter, it's fucking useless. But really fast to rip around on, and it's a little motorcycle, so it's fuck cool, really awesome. And the best thing about auto build, whatever you build, you can favorite it, and you can just bam, pop it out whenever you want. Like you're like, oh shit, this is really, like, I made a cool boat that looked a little bit like a Jedi racing pod thing. Like, I thought it was neat, so I saved it, and that was like my boat. I was like, whenever I needed a boat, I'm like, boom, gonna pull out my Star Wars boat, and bam, there it is. I even got a schematic for like probably a better boat, but I was like, fuck that, it's not my Star Wars boat. So you can save a handful of those, extremely useful. So auto build was amazing. I loved auto build, so fantastic. So that took away my one minor gripe with having to rebuild stuff all the time, so that's eliminated, which is absolutely fantastic. One of the things I was very excited about, I heard about this, but you can build your own house in and around Terrytown. I love Terrytown in Breath of the Wild. That was one of my fucking places, and Terrytown in Tears of the Kingdom might be better. There's some really fun shit that you can do, some really fun quests, especially the one where you take pictures of the monsters for the guy, and he'll make a sculpture for you, and then you get to put the sculpture. So it's just kind of like, I love the little customization. It just adds a little bit more personality and a little bit more of like yourself into the world of Hyrule. It's like, I put that sculpture there, I took those pictures. So that was sweet. And then you get to build your own house, and I will admit I only did it like twice. It costs a lot of money, and I like to hold on to my money, so I didn't build too much. I just kind of built like my essentials. Like, you could put down the little prayer statue, so if you want to do the upgrades, you can do that. You could put a bed. I'm pretty sure you could put a bed, and you could put cooking pot, shit like that. So like useful stuff, a good thing to have for a home base. And then there's a whole bunch of extra shit. Like, I had a couple, like, I had my little garden there, a little garden. It was pretty good. But I was a little disappointed. Like, it was fine. Like, I just thought I was going to get, like, super, super addicted to it, but I honestly didn't. I just think maybe things were a little bit too expensive for me, and a lot of it was just unnecessary. Like, it would have been cool, like, I'll probably fuck around with it if I continue to play Tears of the Kingdom now that I'm done with it. That would probably be something that I'm going to spend my resources on now that I'm done with it. I definitely hoarded resources for sure. I could have used them a little bit more than often. But no, the house thing was very cool, an awesome touch to the game. Now, I didn't get addicted to it the way that I did with, like, Fallout 4. I got really into building things, but this is, I would say it's better. My house sucks, though. I couldn't build a very good house. It's only, like, 4 pieces or whatever. But again, it was really cool. You get this nice little piece of land that overlooks Terrytown, and yeah, it's sweet. You could just go there whenever. The dude just, his whole entire life is just to sit there and wait for you and for him to build shit for you. So that guy's life sucks, but thankfully he's there for you whenever you want. He'll be there. He's never going to leave. So really enjoyed that little touch. That was great, though I admittedly just didn't use it all that much. We have the dye shop has returned. I really enjoyed that in Breath of the Wild. You can dye your clothes different colors, at least most of them. Again, in Tears of the Kingdom, most of your clothes you are able to dye. And now you can add, like, patterns to your paraglider and shit like that. I thought that was pretty freaking cool. Again, not something I used all that much. I would have more, but it's something I found so late in the game. Like, I was probably close to over 100 hours or something like that, and at that I was just like, I look fine. I don't need to. I do like the yellow, though. The yellow always just really popped for me. I enjoyed that. But not much has changed in terms of the dyeing. It's just a great thing. You can just mix up your colors of most of your clothes, which is good. And I didn't think I talked about the little hidden frogs. I forget what they're, bubbles or something, but they're neat little, they're pretty, some of them are hidden pretty good. I like them. They're pretty satisfying to locate. Sometimes you'll be down in a cave and you'll hear something like chewing, and it might be hidden behind a wall somewhere. It's going to be hidden, and you find them. You shoot it, you kill it, and it'll drop a little gem, which you can trade in for little trinkets that you get from some creepy guy, the monster guy who sells the stuff. Anyway, that was cool. That's where I'm pretty sure he's the one that gives you the Dark Link tunic. And now that I talked about it, let's just talk about the clothes for a second. Dude, I had a handful of, like, nostalgia pops for some of the outfits that you can get in Tears of the Kingdom. So if you don't want to hear about them, just skip ahead for like 5 minutes, but I'm gonna go a little bit into some of the clothes that you find. So 3, 2, 1. You can get the fucking outfit from Ocarina of Time. You can get the outfit that you wore in Twilight Princess. You can get the fucking outfit for Wind Waker. And oh my god, I found the sword from Wind Waker, and I freaked out for every one of them. The Midna, like, helmet, you can get her helmet. I think I lost my mind the most for that one. That was so fucking sweet. The Dark Link outfit was awesome. The only thing that sucked about it is you couldn't upgrade that one. And the other ones, like the outfits that you wore in other games, it took a lot to upgrade those things. You had to get the star pieces, and those are a bitch sometimes, bro. Like, oh my, I swear, every time one of those fucking shooting stars goes by, it's like an hour from morning, and they just disappear once the sun comes out. So I would be like just feet away, and the sun comes up and it's gone. Like, god damn it. But yeah, those were fucking awesome. I love the outfits. There was definitely, I would say, a much better variety in the outfits this time around. God, I wish I could have gotten my hands on that fucking froggy suit so much earlier. I was damn near endgame, because you have to literally go all around the world. Like, you have to go and visit, like, there's a little mission you got to do in each continent, and that was, like, one of the last things I did was, like, finally unlock all the places. Like, every time I got to a place, I just slowly make my way through the little region, unlock as much as I want, move on to the next one. I didn't want to just go all over the place, open up the towers and open up the whole map. I just felt like that was going to overwhelm me. So I just wanted to take it piece by piece, take my time. Kind of what a realization I ended up having in Breath of the Wild was, like, just take your time, slow down. If you just open it all up, it's going to be overwhelming. You're not going to want to do anything. So just a little tip for you if that's something you're maybe feeling a little overwhelmed in Tears of the Kingdom, which I admittedly did a handful of times. I would be surprised if someone said they didn't. There's so freaking much to do. But the outfits, there's an outfit that you get at the one place, and it's got, like, flowers and shit on it. It's like this super awesome outfit, and Link has, like, he puts, like, a wig on, and it's pink. I just loved it. I fucking went nuts for that shit. I thought it was so freaking cute. So yeah, the outfits definitely stepped up from the last one. I really enjoyed that. And now I did just mention him, so going around all the regions, and to get the froggy suit, you have to finish the mission with Penn, and Penn is awesome. I really like that guy. He's like the big bird dude, and, hey partner, he calls you partner and shit. I love that guy. But at every stable, you got to go to every stable, and he'll be there, and there'll be something going on, and you just got to figure out what's going on. He'll write up the story, and I think you have to go do 15 of them, and like every 5 of those you complete, you'll get a piece of the froggy suit. And the froggy suit, oh my god, like it's a must. It's so useful. Like, oh gee, I swear every time I gotta climb something really big, it starts to fucking rain, and the what do you call it, the anti-slip potions I just found never worked. But once you get the full froggy suit, oh fuck, I was like, finally. But I was so late by the time I got it, and I wish I had it from the beginning. That would have been something great, but sadly it's attached to a mission that is extremely long. But I did really, really enjoy that mission. I loved, finding, like, going to a new region and finding that stable, that region's stable was like really satisfying. Like, oh boy, a stable, that means I'm gonna find a well, that means Penn's gonna be there, I'm gonna get some pony points, I'm gonna fucking probably find a new mission, there might be a great fairy around. Stables are awesome. They're just like, guarantee shit's going down at a stable every time, so they're always fun to locate. And finding Penn, and just, oh god, I was so I should have been more determined to get that froggy suit, but I just was not convinced that it was gonna not make me slip. But it definitely makes you not slip, which is extremely helpful. Oh my goodness. So I'm going to sprinkle in a handful of moments here and there while we talk about the temples. So let's get into the first temple that I took down, which was the Wind Temple. And I would recommend that if you're deciding which temple you want to go for, which direction you want to go, I would recommend the Wind Temple, the Ritos, because the power you get from doing that one, I found, was the one that I utilized the most by far. For me, it was the most useful. So let's talk about how we get to the temple. So you start by climbing up the giant tornado storm thing. That was pretty fucking awesome, I must admit. Really enjoyed that. Looked awesome. These big freaking tornadoes that you're flying around, and then you see all these crazy big, like, not quite Viking ships, but big wooden ships, and you're jumping onto those ships. You're slowly making your way up to the Wind Temple. It was pretty fun. I thought it wouldn't have been as good, because sometimes I don't like climbing up things because I tend to fall off them and then have to do the climbing all over again. But I was good. They do a pretty good job at making sure that you're not going to fall off. There's a lot of tornadoes around. I think the ships have like an airflow, so you're good to go. And it also just looked fucking awesome. This place was dope. Like I said, kind of got like this Viking ship feeling to it. And your objective here is you need to turn on 5 wind turbines. So a big hoopla or debate with the new Legend of Zelda nowadays is people don't like how temples are done in the new games. They're shorter. You're not like finding a big new weapon or a new something that's going to lead to you beating that temple's boss. They're a little bit more condensed now. They're definitely they feel smaller, and you're not necessarily getting a weapon. Like you're going into these temples with a partner, basically, and that's your power up, basically, and you're going to use that power to get through. I like it. Like, I'm fine with it. I honestly would prefer it if we had like the shrines and then the old school style that they went to. We'll get into it, don't worry, but I understand that it's not everybody's cup of tea, the new way that they've been doing these temples. So again, you got to turn on 5 wind turbines. And then once you do that, you get to the boss fight, which I thought this was a great boss fight. Fighting up like this giant ice dragon bug thing. I thought it was dope. You're flying through the air. You're dodging these tornadoes that he's shooting at you. It was a lot of fun. I really enjoyed that boss fight. One of my favorite ones, I would say. It might be my favorite one out of the 4 temples. And then, the power-up, like I said, by far was the one that I used the most. You get Tulin, and he joins in to help you fight, and he'll just shoot out a gust of wind whenever there's like a little, what do you call it, where it has to fill up a bar or whatever. It doesn't take very long, but whenever the bar's full, he'll shoot out a little gust of wind, and it's so useful, man. Like, whenever you're just going around, you want to get a little boost of speed in the air, he'll boost you across. It's super duper useful. So I would recommend you go after this one first, because that was just a ton. It just helped me out so much, that power up. And yeah, I really liked it. And at the beginning, it's a lot of fun kind of having a partner come with you. I thought that was really, it was kind of nice. Like, for a while there, like, I didn't touch the temples for a long time, so I was just out there by myself. A lot of the time I didn't even bother having a horse. I was just building my own kind of things. But once you're done with the temple, you'll get like a spirit version of the person that you were in the temple with, and they'll just be with you. They're kind of like ghosts, a little spooky. And yeah, at first it was really kind of awesome. I really enjoyed just having a dude coming around with me. I like that. I always enjoyed that. It reminds me of the first time I played Halo when I was a kid, and a dude like glitched, and he wasn't supposed to be like with me on this mission, but like this AI Marine was just with me, and that was my bro, and it just felt so good. I was like, I know you're not supposed to be here, man, but God, do I ever appreciate it. But yeah, it's good at the beginning, but like you get 5 of these little spirits by the end, and sometimes they get in the fucking way. Like, I'm just trying to shoot an arrow and you accidentally hit the wrong button, and then they're fucking shooting off a wind turbine. You're like, God damn it. So that's a little bit of a nitpick that I had, but for the most part, I really appreciated the company. It was pretty awesome. So let's talk about some other moments that I had throughout this game. So pretty early on, I imagine a lot of us found the girl in the well that's just looking for all the wells around in Hyrule, and there is a shitload of wells, and I doubt it's worth finding all of them. I know I sure as hell didn't, but I was in one well, and there's like this fucking huge pile of rocks, and I was like, oh cool, there's probably a chest or something cool. So you're breaking the rocks open, and then this ginormous skeleton Stalox dude pops out, and that was surprising. That was fun. I've seen this dude before. He's from Breath of the Wild, but that was just a fun little surprising boss fight. I was like, oh snap, that's a lot of fun. And there's like a lot of really cool, I found like the bosses that you find out about, I found them a little bit more fun and challenging than the temple bosses. I understand why they did it that way. We have to remember that this is a game that a lot of kids are playing, so they don't want to make things too hard, especially things that are on the main quest. Like, they don't want to have 10-year-old Timmy throwing his fucking Switch at the wall because he can't beat the second boss in the temple or whatever, and his mom's gonna flip the fuck out kind of deal, you know what I'm saying? Anyway, that obsidian, there's an obsidian Frox, I think it's called, underground. That dude was sick. He's like this giant frog rock thing that like sucks you in. He was pretty challenging at first. I admittedly tried to run away from it, and I didn't know it was a frog, so it started jumping at me, and I was like, fuck this noise, this is crazy. And let's talk about this boss. So this guy was a bit of a fuck. I think he might be becoming a little bit notorious, I think, with people that have played Tears of the Kingdom, because I'm hearing a lot of talk about it. But King Gleeok, he's that fucking boss, the tri-headed dragon, and each of the heads has a different elemental. It's like electric, fire, and ice or something. So not only are you, like, he looks awesome, I'll say that right out of the gate. Looks awesome. You see a variety of these throughout the world. You'll see like an electric dragon, tri-headed dragon, you'll see a fire one. They're all around. I admittedly didn't fight any of those. The King Gleeok was the first one of these that I fight, so I went straight for right for the king, I guess. I didn't know what I was doing. I just kind of walked into it, and next thing you know, I'm fighting the freaking King Gleeok, and I was like, god damn. But it was really awesome. Like, the first half was awesome. You're just taken down, you can shoot at his weaknesses, and you're just wearing him down. And then the second part of the fight, whittle him down to the second half, and goddamn does he ever become a piece of shit. He flies like 10,000 feet in the air, and you gotta try and get up there. Meanwhile, he's dropping like icicles on you, fucking lightning bolts. It's a little bit out of control. I was just like, holy fuck, like this is a little tricky, and I finally took him down, but I didn't like that. That second half definitely was a little bit much. It was a real pain in the ass. Like, how I was doing it, like the icicle would come down, I'd get onto an icicle, and then recall the icicle back up into the sky, and then, I don't know, it'd be like a 60% of the time, I'd probably get hit by a different icicle, or hit with a lightning strike, and yeah, he was whooping my ass. He definitely whooped my ass. I would say that was the most challenging fight that I got. It wasn't like, Dark Souls hard or anything, but I liked the challenge. I enjoyed it. That was a cool boss fight. I did enjoy that one. All right, let's go back. Let's talk about the next temple that I took down. That was the Fire Temple. I feel like I don't know off the top of my head, but I feel like I always go in the exact same order. It's always wind, fire, water, and then whatever, lightning, light, dark, whatever the hell they want it to be in that particular game. But here we go with the fire temple. You got the Gorons, and there's like that weird rock roaster thing, whatever. I don't know. They make it look delicious. Like, I want to eat rocks when they're eating the rock. I'm like, I want that. I would eat that rock if you gave me it. I would try it. Anyway, once you get there, you have to go up Death Mountain using a minecart. That was pretty fun. I like ripping up the minecart. And at that point, what's the dude's name? Unibo? He's alright. I mean, the character was not my favorite. He's a little bit, just kind of cliche, but his power was okay. It came in handy at certain points for sure. He'll just roll into a ball and you can aim him and shoot him at whatever the fuck you want. You can shoot him at enemies. Particularly, I like to shoot him into the boulders. If I needed to smash open a particular ore to get the goodies inside, I would use him sometimes, especially if I was short on bombs or what have you. So Unibo had a pretty useful thing. I would use him, but that guy got in the way a lot, man. More than anybody, he would get in my way. And like, oh, there he goes. You just launched him off, and there he goes. He's gone. But yeah, he was all right. So you're going up with the carts, and then you get a really easy mini-boss fight at the top, using these like flying contraptions to fight 3 giant firestone dragon head things. It was pretty fucking awesome. I thought it was really easy, but it was pretty friggin' awesome, I must admit. I enjoyed that. And then you go into Death Mountain, where you find the Fire Temple with your buddy Unibo, of course. He's there with you. And we already talked about what he can do. And then, the Fire Temple was not my favorite. I find the Fire Temples usually hit for me. I generally enjoy them. This one just was like, it was fine. I thought the layout, though, was a bit confusing. It's like 5 floors, and you got to hit 5 gongs. Kind of the theme of these temples. It's right, like 4 or 5 things you got to hit or go to and touch them or some shit. That's generally how these temples go down. And then the boss fight was solid. It was all right. I got a pop for I think it's called Goma, but I was like, oh shit, there's Goma from Ocarina of Time. I was like, oh, that's pretty fucking cool. So I got a little pop for that. But the fight was fine. You're using Unibo, you're shooting at its legs, and then you attack its eye. I mean, very classic Legend of Zelda. You attack whatever the big red thing is, you're probably going for it. Definitely not bad. It's serviceable. I understand what they're going for. Again, like, you're not going for something overly difficult. You don't want to go for something monotonous and, like, tedious, but I don't know. I think they maybe went for a little bit overly simple, honestly. I wish they went for a little bit more creativity, but this one was all right. Definitely gets the points for it being Goma, so that'll definitely take it a little bit of the way. So back to some of the fun moments that I had throughout Hyrule. Cool little side quest I enjoyed in Terrytown. Sending off little Matson, whatever the hell her little name is, little cutie, in Terrytown. I like that because her dad is like the Terrytown, like, regular construction dude or whatever, but her mom is a Gerudo, and you gotta help her begin her Gerudo adventure, which is like her just going off on her own or whatever. I enjoyed that. It was a really cute, fun little moment right there. And I talked about the Monstrous Collection. I really enjoyed that quest. Taking pictures of the monsters. And I really enjoyed taking pictures of the monsters. It reminded me of, like, Pokemon Snap. I was just like, shit, like, maybe they could do something with that. Have, like, Legend of Zelda Snap, and you're just taking pictures of the monsters, sending them in for this dude who'll make the sculptures, and then you get to place the sculptures. And, oh man, I think I'm onto something here. But, yeah, I got really into the Monstrous Collection. I liked going around and looking up. For the most part, I'd be like, okay, I remember where I saw that monster. Let's go over there and check it out. And you just grab a picture. Very simple, but it was fun. I enjoyed it. Well, the only thing I didn't like was how, like, annoying the dude got when you would build it. He's like, hey, like, freaking out and shit. Didn't like that. That was a little bit fucking annoying. Got another boss fight here. Caldera in the depths. A lot of the depth creatures were things that I really enjoyed. They were a little bit more challenging, bigger, and badder. You know what I'm saying? But this thing was fucking awesome. Looked awesome. It's like massive flying snake bug thing, kind of like the Wind Temple boss a little bit. But this thing, like, this is the one I think it's in the dark, And it killed the shit out of me the first time because I couldn't see it. I was in the air, and it's flying around up there, and I'm getting hit by this fucking thing. I'm like, what the fuck is going on? And yeah, I had to find the light route or whatever to brighten up everything before I could fight it. But it was sweet, man. You got to another one. You got to dodge the tornadoes, but you're hitting its weak points, and I think they're like ice weak points, and you smash through them. You can like fly up and then dive through them. Very satisfying to do that. And the music during this fight was dope. I'm pretty sure I put it in at the beginning, but yeah, I remember talking about the music in the first episode, and I wasn't bad mouthing the music. I was just saying that none of it really stood out to me as like, oh wow, that's a really catchy, awesome tune. Overall, it's an incredibly orchestrated, insane fucking music soundtrack. It's incredible. It's just not something that I like. It's not melodies that I'm going to be like humming at work. You know, it's not the Price is Right theme song that I shit you not, I hum it at least 4 times a day. Dun dun dun. Oh no, it happened again. Oh Jesus. All right. Let's move on to something else. That was one of the better boss fights. I really enjoyed fighting that thing. Just took me a minute to find it. And then, the mayoral election in Hantano Village or whatever, that shit was fun. I liked it because it was a little bit different. You're going around, and you have to, like, I think you're giving people mushrooms, or these colorful mushrooms. You're trying to convince which side you want to vote for. I went for the colorful people. I was like, of course, I'm going to go for the fun people. That was a fun, memorable little quest. I enjoyed that. That was fun. And then you get to, oh man, I had a lot. I think I spent like 4 days just like exploring the coastline of Hyrule on the beaches and shit. Oh my god, the beaches are beautiful. Probably, I would say for me, probably the best looking Switch game. This game's gorgeous. Like, I don't care what people say, outdated hardware. I mean, I think this game is extremely impressive for the hardware that it's on. Like, the water in the beach, it looks so freaking good. I loved being here. And there's a little village, a little beach village you need to rebuild with Bolson. That was a lot of fun, though it was kind of simple. Like, you're just kind of sticking a stick in a hole, but I really got a kick out of it. It's so chill, it's so pretty. I love the music, and the little crabs that are running around everywhere, those little fuckers. I love chasing them around. I love the beach area. One of my favorite areas. Might be my area. If I was like a kid playing this, that would probably be the area that I'm just hanging out. That's what I used to do when I played Ocarina of Time before I knew how to play video games. I would just ride around, find a cool spot, and just hang out. And yeah, I would definitely be hanging out in the beach areas. I freaking loved it. And buddy. I'll save this one. Let's do another temple. Let's talk the water temple. Everyone's favorite water temple time. So water temples definitely have gotten better. I think it's mostly like Majora's Mask and Ocarina of Time that people don't like the water temples. Me, I hate water in video games. I think it doesn't frickin' work. I hate it. It slows you down. It's not fun. But some games do water right. I mean, Donkey Kong Country. Mario, for the most part, can do water pretty good. Banjo-Kazooie, I think, did water good. Anyway, let's see how Zelda did this time around. So you get to the Zora's Domain, always a beautiful, incredible place. I mean, it looks like it did it. I mean, it's the same place that it was in Breath of the Wild. Now it's just covered in black goop that you got to get rid of the black goop. So once you get rid of the black goop, it's really pretty again, and just fucking incredible. Loved the music in this area. Just so magical. Just a fucking magical place. I love it. So for the temple, you got to go around turning on faucets, and then you get to a solid boss fight. This one was a bit of a letdown. It only took me 40 minutes or so. I breezed through this temple, no problemo. It just kind of happened. I was like, oh, okay, like, not bad, not incredible, not memorable, but it did what it needed to do. The boss was small. I remember the boss was small. That was different. I was not expecting it to be small. Definitely reminded me of the boss in the Water Temple at Ocarina of Time, where it's just kind of like, almost like a little like cell or something inside of a bigger organism. Anyway, I was like, oh, that's nice. That's different. And you get, it was, like I said, it was a fine boss fight. I liked the design of it. It was cool. And then the power-up that you get Get a water shield. I never used it. Can't say I ever used it. Maybe a handful of times by mistake. Never used it, but it'll block a hit for you, which is, useful if you need it. And then when you activate it, if you swing your sword, it'll shoot like little water squirts out. It was fine. I never used the fucking thing, admittedly. Yeah, the water temple, I was a little bit let down. It was fine. Like, it was just kind of serviceable. It was a little bit fun using the water. Like, you have to use water devices to get rid of the goop. So, splash fruit was very, very effective in this area for the arrows. You attach a splash fruit, shoots a little water at everything. That was extremely effective, obviously. And, alright, we'll talk about the Lightning Temple, because there's only one more big quest that I want to talk about. So, Lightning Temple, that's your Gerudo area. I always call it the Light Temple, but they made it very known that it was the Lightning Temple in this one. And, the sandy area, not my favorite place to be. It's a little bit of a pain in the ass, especially weather-wise. During the day, it's incredibly hot, and then at night, it gets extremely cold. I was more able to deal with. I definitely had the equipment to deal with that. In terms of the hot, I didn't have any clothing, really. I had a hat or whatever, like a little tiara or some shit that you could put on. Otherwise, I had to make meals all the time to deal with the heat. So, not my favorite area, but I liked it because it was different. But then, you also move around really slow in the sand. You can't bring your horse out there. You have to use the walruses, which are admittedly extremely cute. Walruses are adorable, but you have to fucking catch them all the time. You can't just have one, which kind of sucks. So, not my favorite areas are the sandy areas. But this was actually one of my more preferred of the temples, and in terms of the objectives that you're doing. So you get to meet these new fucking enemies, and they remind me of the goddamn Redeads from Ocarina of Time that absolutely terrified me big time as kids. They're not as terrifying to me now, but the Gibdos or whatever, those things, I was like, oh shit, yeah, those are freaky, especially when you don't know how to handle them, because the first time you see them, you hit them with your sword, you do no damage to them, you're like, what the fuck? So I ran away, but then once you figure out, you just have to hit them with any sort of elemental attack, and then they're fucking one-hit kills. They're awesome for that. And then they drop their bone or whatever, and I was like, oh shit. And it adds a lot of damage when you attach it, but it only gives you like 1 or 2 swipes and then it breaks. So I was disappointed because I spent like a half hour killing a bunch of them and collecting a whole bunch of their bones. I was like, oh yeah, I'm set up now. And then I realized that how fragile they are. So don't do what I did and waste your time a whole bunch. They also crawl around on the ground. I don't like that. I don't like when enemies crawl on the ground. Don't like when they jump at me and when they're on the ground being all freaky. They got red eyes. Yeah, these things, aside from one other dude we'll talk about in a minute, was probably the scariest thing in this game. But they were fine. But cool, I liked them. So, now you get to Gerudo Town. Everyone's fucking stuck underground because those terrifying new creatures are all up there. So, you need to protect Gerudo Town from a swarm of those new Gibdo enemies. And you're just fucking them up with Riju's lightning strikes, and her power is dope. I don't know, again, I didn't use it much because she was very close to endgame for me, but it's dope. Activate her, and then as long as you hold her, like her little circle will just get bigger and bigger, and then you'll just shoot an arrow in that lightning bolt, and it'll just fuck anything up in that area with lightning. It's pretty fantastic, and the introduction to her power was a lot of fun. You just get swarmed with these enemies, and you're just blasting them away with lightning strikes. Pretty awesome. So that was a good time. And then you gotta do the task. Lighting up the towers to open up the temple was fucking tedious as hell. At this point, I was like, okay, I get the gimmick. Is go do this, go over there, do that again, do it 4 times, and then we can move on. And then you gotta charge up 4 batteries again. It was fine. It was definitely a little bit tedious. And then we get to the boss fight. Queen Gibdo boss fight. Looks awesome. You got a giant beetle type creature thing. I enjoyed the design on this thing. Pretty cool. Fight was easy, but it was pretty fun. Fending off the Gibdos, and you're shooting down the queen with the lightning strikes. A lot of fun. The power-up definitely brought a lot of the funness to this temple. I wish the other ones did more so. Like, the Goron one was fine. Like, it wasn't utilized as good as some of the other powers. But yeah, I enjoyed this temple. I'd say between I'd say the lightning temple and the wind temple would be my favorite ones. Fire and water, they were just kind of serviceable. They were fine, not bad, but definitely not going to stick in my memory like, you know, the the water temple from Ocarina of Time. But Jesus, yeah, they're fine. It was all right. Boss fights, all good. All right, let's talk about this final little not a little quest, but it's a pretty big one. Fucking searching for Master Koga of the Yiga clan. This guy's a character. I love him. He's like this fucking overweight little tubby Yiga member, and he's the leader, and he's just ridiculous. He's your classic goofy, dumb leader, but he's really funny. So you're chasing him around the underground, and you're having these very entertaining boss fights where he's literally pulling like a Dr. Eggman. He's going to bring out this big new wacky machine that he's built, and you take him down, and he's gonna fucking use the new machine on you. Really fun. I really looked forward to these fights, like, all right, what's he gonna bring out this time? And his final fight, the last fight with him, was excellent. I'll just let you enjoy that yourselves. I really enjoyed that. He had a lot of awesome contraptions. He was one of my favorites. I saved him for later, because I was like, oh yeah, this is one of my favorite guys. So I really enjoyed that side quest. Love to hear from y'all. There's so many side quests I didn't get. There's so much, man. There's just too much. And I was ready. Like I said, I'm ready for it to be a back burner game now. If I want to pop it in for an hour once every other week or so, whatever, bang out a few missions. There's just a lot to do. So there's a lot of them that I didn't get to. There's probably a lot of gems and fantastic moments that I didn't get to experience, but I feel like it's going to be one of those games that, even though everybody has played Tears of the Kingdom, I feel like everyone's going to have a different story for something wacky that happened that probably didn't happen to anyone else that you're going to talk to. Okay, let's get to the final area, which takes place over a few places, kind of like Hyrule Castle mixed with the Spirit Temple. But here you're finding Zelda around the castle fighting enemies. Music in the castle, of course, is fucking excellent. In here, I definitely got a little bit lost. I had a little bit of trouble locating Zelda, which, I mean, it's fine, part of the challenge, which was fine with me, fighting a whole bunch of enemies. At this point, you know, I'm fully just beefed up, got all the hearts, got all the stamina, so many weapons, I don't know what to do with them, powerful as fuck, got all the upgraded armor and everything. I don't know if I touched on the Great Fairies yet, but they're returning in Breath of the Wild, same thing that they did in Breath of the Wild, they're here in Tears of the Kingdom. The more that you find, the higher you can upgrade your equipment, so once you find them all, you can get some very, very beefy, tanky equipment, and yeah, I definitely had my set for sure. So you're finding her, and then you fight like an army of Phantom Ganons. That was pretty freaking sweet. A little bit intimidating. I was like, oh god, because man, I remember like the first 30 hours or so, the first time you meet Phantom Ganon and those creepy hands, that was a fucking moment. I was like terrified because I was not expecting that in my Legend of Zelda game, I must admit. And now probably to the most terrifying enemy, I think, in the game, and that's the mummified Ganon. That dude is fucking creepy as shit. He's like all mummified and ghouly and fucking creepy. Yeah, I preferred them all juiced up, you know, much bigger and normal looking. Mummified Ganon, no fuego, senor. I did not like him. He was scary. And then you gotta gather the pieces, and then you're building the robot, and that was a moment for me when I found that area. You can find this area way earlier, like I did. Like I found that little depot deep underground, and where they're building things. And when I came back to it, building this, I was like, oh fuck! Like I haven't been here in like 80 hours. I was like, I forgot about this place, and it was really fun. I was like, oh sweet. So you build this fucking robot, dude, and I was like, oh shit, this is where some of the crazy videos that I've seen online of some of the crazy things that people are building, now it's starting to make sense. You get access, to this ridiculous robot after you build it. A little bit tedious building it. It's just like, okay, go to these 4 corners, grab one piece, bring it back here, that kind of shit. You know, what do they call that? Fetch quest, basically. But, you know, it was fine. So you gather the pieces, you build the robot, and then you ride the sumbitch. And it's pretty fucking awesome, man. It's pretty awesome. You can attach things to it, of course. attach whatever you want to it, and you can attach spike arms, lasers, rockets. You can attach things to the back of it. So you can attach a fan, you can make it move faster, you can attach a rocket to its back and make it fly in the air like 100 feet. It's pretty fucking amazing. And then you get a boss fight, and I was pretty smitten with this boss fight. It's like straight up ECW, Extreme Championship Wrestling. It's like a wrestling match. You get put in like a barbed wire ring, and then you fight against another robot. Tons of fun, man. I had a lot of fun with this. Great variety. It was the only fight like this, and yeah, the robot was fun. I enjoyed that. That was a lot of fun. One of the probably top 3, top 5 boss fight in this game for me. Had a good time with that, especially the barbed wire. I was like, I just had ECW flashbacks, and this is just too fantastic. So that was the last. So you get that. That's basically you get an extra temple. That's your spirit temple. And then you get access to this robot whenever you want. It'll follow you around, and you can get into it. You can fucking attach shit, whatever you want to it. And again, this is another thing, kind of got it very late game, so I didn't get to play around with the robot a whole bunch. And it was just good to have it around. I didn't get into it a whole bunch because you have to, it uses batteries. And when it runs out of power, you're like, oh, well, I'm just a sitting fucking duck, so I might as well just get out and do things on my own and let it do its own thing. So that's how I utilized it, but it is very, very cool. So now, let's get to the final battle, baby. You know it. So I guess this is, if you don't want to hear about the final battle against you-know-who, just, tap out now. It's going to be probably about 5 or so minutes, and then we'll wrap this thing up nicely. We'll go through things that didn't like, things I liked. We'll give it a score, and we'll send you on your way. But first, let's talk about the fight against Ganon. So it starts out, right out of the gate, Ganon looks fantastic. I love his design. Almost, he gives me like a desert samurai vibe. Like, he's got samurai style hair. He's kind of got a cloak on. Just looks like an awesome samurai. He's massive, big man. Like, I don't know how big Link is, but Ganon's probably 3 times the size of him. He's big as fuck, intimidating, and he looks awesome. So you start out, first part, you got to start fighting waves of enemies with your homies, all your buddies that you gathered up on the way throughout your adventure. And of course, this is just a ton of fun. You're just wave of pretty easy. They're all the fairly easy enemies. There's nothing too crazy out there, and you just fuck them up, man. Like, just go to town. I went to town. I was like, all right, this is it. So I used all my best shit, and we just fucking fucked them up. So you go through a handful of waves of them, like 3 or 4, and now we get to the fight. So everyone leaves you at this point. It's just you and Ganon. You don't have any access to your buddies no more. No giant robot. Just you, your bow, your shield, your sword, and that stuff. So part 1, super easy, simple introduction to the fight. It's just you and him, one-on-one, swords, shields, dodge. Very, very simple. Took him down in like a minute. No problem. Part 2, now we got clones. He sends out a whole bunch of clones. Admittedly, a little bit annoying, because I'm just trying to lock, like, I can see him. I know which one's him, and I just want to lock onto him, but it's locking on to everybody that's not fucking him. And I'm like, God damn it. So that was a little bit annoying, but it was a decent section. I also got a good little giggle. His health bar goes like Demon Soul style. It just goes like, takes up the whole fucking screen. I'm like, oh, okay, I see what we're doing right here. So that gave me a good little chuckle. I'm like, you're cute. You know who I fucking beat on the first try, Ganon? Melania. Not a big deal. Not like I haven't mentioned that before. All right, part 3. Now we're starting to ramp up the challenge a little bit. I'm starting to dig this. Ganon starts to steal your hearts when you get hit. Took me a little bit to notice that, because I had so many of them. I'm like, wait a second, where'd all my hearts go? And then I started to realize that, oh shit, like, I'm getting whacked, and he's just taking those hearts away from me. So that adds into a challenge, especially if you're going up. If you didn't have a whole bunch of hearts like I did, like, oh shit, that definitely turns up the heat a little bit there in part 3, and you definitely need to use your dodges effectively. You need to dodge his counter and then counter it with a counter. It's pretty good. It took me a minute to get the timing. I was very bad at the timing. Rarely ever used any parries. You don't have to parry in this fight, but yeah, I wasn't big. I didn't use the flurry rushes all that much, but you have to be quite effective with them to get through the third part of the phase of this fight, and then you get to the fucking grand finale, baby. Part 4 gets crazy. Again, you don't want to hear it, just skip ahead a few minutes, you'll be okay, but Ganon becomes a giant dragon, and it's it's as beautiful and badass as it gets. It becomes this gorgeous, Japanese style dragon. And another major spoiler here for Zelda, she is also a dragon. She turns herself into a dragon. She eats one of the tears of the kingdom. She eats a tear, which gives her eternal life and turns her into a dragon. Which, admittedly, when that happened, I was like, oh, that's pretty cool. She's a dragon. So that's neat. So Ganon turns into a dragon. In comes Zelda Dragon. She comes in, and you ride her, and you're fighting fucking thousands of feet in the sky on your dragon, and you have to jump onto him, and you just have to, I think there's like 4 points onto Ganon, and you just have to attack his 4 points and kill that, and it's cool. Like, after you you kill one of his weak points, he'll throw you up into the air, and then Zelda's down there waiting for you, and she'll always get you. She's always gonna grab you. I loved how, like, perfect that it was. That must have been extremely challenging to make work, I would imagine, for the game developers, but I thought that was really fucking awesome. Like, I had no fear. Like, there was no, like, if you fall off Ganon, no big deal. Admittedly, I was a little stressed out at the beginning of this phase because I really didn't know what I was doing. I knew I had to get onto him, but I didn't know where, and it wouldn't actually let me get onto him because there's certain areas you have to get onto his back where his weak points are to attack him. But it was beautiful fight. Like, it's a toss-up which dragon was cooler. I mean, I'm a sucker for evil shit, so like black and reds, it just looks so much cooler. But Zelda's dragon design also gorgeous with the white and like the greeny blue, just beautiful, not too hard. I really enjoyed the final boss fight. Final boss fights are really tough to challenge. I know people nowadays aren't really the biggest fans of boss fights, and I've had my complaints with boss fights in the past, especially certain ones that are way too long or just ramping up the difficulty spike for absolutely no reason, just to add in an extra hour of agonizing gameplay. Like, no. Legend of Zelda doesn't do that. They don't go overly difficult with the boss fights. It's fairly simple. Like, it's pretty easy to figure them out, and not something that you would ever agonize to do ever again, but it's not something that I was like, oh, I can't wait to do that boss fight again. And maybe that's because I'm desensitized from playing games like the Dark Souls games, which are just boss gauntlets, and their boss designs are just out of control. But again, that audience is substantially different than your Legend of Zelda audience. You're gonna have much younger fans playing this, and I have to grade it with that in mind, saying that, like, they weren't overly challenging or crazy, but they weren't tedious, they weren't bad, they weren't long, they weren't just, they felt just right. But, not the most memorable. But I would say that dragon fight, that will probably stick with me. That was pretty fucking awesome. Though I saw it coming a mile away, but still extremely satisfying. So, bam, son. And that is the gig. That's it. That's the end of Legend of Zelda. I've been playing this game since the day it came out. I don't remember what day it came out, but I've been playing it. There haven't been very many off days. I would say maybe a week or two total since the day I got it. I hadn't played it, but I played it pretty consistently every day, at least probably an hour, maybe two, and I loved every minute of it. I absolutely adored this game. But before we slob all over this game, let's nitpick a little bit, because I know people like to complain about this game, and there are a couple things that bothered me. The Blood Moon cutscene, every fucking time, dude. Like, there's probably a way to turn it off, and I'm an idiot, but annoyed me every time. Every time I saw that stupid red moon in the sky, I'm like, oh no, I'm gonna have to deal with that stupid cutscene, and it just, that little delay that it does before it'll let you skip it pisses me off. So that's annoying, but again, not big. I'm definitely pulling for straws here. I found climbing in the rain just absolutely fucking the worst thing. So annoying, so demoralizing. You're getting absolutely nowhere, and it's so annoying. Yes, it is fixed by the froggy suit, but I have to say it because for at least 110 hours of my gameplay, I didn't have that full set of froggy suit, so it was really annoying to climb in the rain. And I will say, climbing in general, now that I played Breath of the Wild already, so that the newness of that mechanic, it didn't get old in this one. Like, I still enjoy, especially being able to climb wherever you want. I still love that. But it definitely wasn't like as enamored with the climbing mechanic as I was the first time. Like, you're like, oh boy, well, here's this 8,000 foot fucking mountain I gotta climb up. And yeah, a lot of that time when I'm climbing, I'm, on my phone, having a sip of coffee, doing something else. So if they could liven up that somehow, make that a little bit more fun, make that traversal a little bit more, a little bit better, that would definitely go a long way if they can figure that one out. I know, like, you could speed yourself up and all that stuff, and I do. It's just, it's a little bit tedious at times to climb up shit. And then, like I said, having 4 or 5 of those spirits following you around, sometimes when it's chaotic and you're just, like, fucking surrounded by enemies and you're just trying to dodge something, sometimes they just get in the frickin' way. But I would say 80% of the time, I really just enjoyed having the companions with me. It was great just not feeling alone, even though it's a nice filled-up game. I mean, it's not as full as a Red Dead Redemption or even like a Cyberpunk or something like that, where there's just like a lot of shit going on. I mean, you are on the Switch, so there are parts in Hyrule Field and shit where it's a little barren, there's not a lot going on, but there's so much to do in this game. It's a little bit insane. So, honestly, that's really all I have. In terms of cons, I mean, like, the littlest nitpick for, like, the bosses not being the most creative or just, like, addictively fun. I found they went very safe and standard with the bosses in this game. It just, some of them were good. Like I said, I just found the ones that you have to look for were the best fights in the game. So, there's that. So, now let's just go crazy with this game. Music, out of control, phenomenal. Amazing soundtrack. I love the music. It just fits so perfectly in whatever setting you're in, underground, above ground, traveling through, flying, whatever. It's got a beautiful soundtrack all throughout. I love the music in this game. It's not going to be like my favorite soundtrack of the year just because, like, orchestrated, brilliant pieces of music aren't really like things I'm going to sit down and like I said, hum at work or something, but undeniably a beautifully orchestrated game. Voice acting is what it is. There's not a lot of it, but when it's there, it's fine. It's not bad. It's not cringy. It's serviceable. It does the job. It's fine. Graphics, I think this is probably the best looking Switch game in terms of its size and what game it is. I mean, it's not as eye-popping as some of the Mario Kart 8 levels and shit like that, but in terms of a open world game of this size on the Switch, it's incredible what it's doing. It runs next to perfectly. Like, there is a little bit of slowdown when things are getting really crazy, but it's quite limited. Glitches cannot be found. This game runs just, I can't, like, for how big it is and how much is going on, like, to not run into, like, clipping issues and, like, anything like that, tearing, it's so clean, so refined, beautifully crafted game with tons of love. Gameplay is, I can't say perfection, but they had an incredible framework to work with out of Breath of the Wild, and I'm blown away with what they were able to add on to that framework, which I thought was already very full and just amazing. They added so much to this game, which was originally a DLC concept, and they were able to flesh it out this much. It's nothing short of incredible what they were able to do with a sequel to Breath of the Wild. I mean, a lot of us were skeptical. It's like, how are you going to be able to do it? And I think successfully so. They have nailed it. I was blown away. Gameplay, all the new things, the building, auto building, all the new power-ups, the fusing was just so freaking cool. There's so much to do. I mean, 150 hours, like, you can sneeze on that. You can easily double, triple, quadruple that if you want to with this game easily. Is it a game that I would ever come back and, like, replay the whole thing? Probably not, because, again, it's like 150 hours, but the way that I played it this time was with that in mind, that I didn't want to really miss anything too important. I got my fill, 160 or so hours. I'm very, very content and happy with this game. A beautifully crafted video game. For now, we still got quite a few months, and there's some big hitters out there still that I want to play this year. And fucking, what's that game that just came out? Dungeons and Dragons, no. whatever, I don't know. There's a game that just, Baldur's Gate 3, that game just came out and just slammed its way under my radar. I am beyond interested in that game. So when it comes out on PS5, I'm definitely going to be interested. So we'll see where that one goes. But as it is right now, this is my game of the year by a good bit. It's obvious it's going to be a lot of people's game of the year. But I'm going to challenge this game. I'm going to challenge it with some games that will go up against it, and we'll see how it goes. Starfield is coming out this year, so I don't know. Who knows what that game is? A mystery to me. I have no idea. Back to Zelda. What else does this game do? It does things really well. In terms of the story, I always struggle with stories and open world games because I will do a story thing and then go 28 hours doing side shit and not doing anything story related. And then I'm like, oh wait, what's going on? So it wasn't, I wish they would do something like The Witcher 3 did, where whenever you boot up the game, it'll just give you this like 30-second 15-second little where you are in the story, give you a little recap, and it's so good. And this game doesn't do that. Yes, you can rewatch the little movies or whatever, but I don't know. It just story, the Zelda story is never really what I'm going after here, especially with Breath of the Wild and Tears of the Kingdom. I'm going for that gameplay, and that's what it's all about. But the story was solid. Like I said, I popped for some of the twists. I thought it was interesting. The traveling back in time, kind of seeing the beginning of Hyrule was neat. I thought that was cool. It was definitely cool. It's not like Nintendo was able to get away with this kind of stuff because of their innovation and gameplay and stuff like that. Their storytelling is whatever. It was fine. I mean, some people might be really, really into it. Like, my buddy's sister, she loved the story. And for me, I was like, yeah, it was fine. Like, I liked the twist. It didn't pull me in, though. I wasn't just, like, drawn to go see the next piece of the story or to go find the next tier in the world to see what the next slideshow thing or fucking little movie was going to be. The movies were fine. I wasn't like, oh, that's so freaking cool and shit. Like, they were fine. They were good. Story was fine, serviceable. It was there. It did the thing. You know what's going to happen. It's a Legend of Zelda story. The bad guy's going to come back. You're going to stop him and save the day. Duh. That's what goes on. It's been going on for fucking 35 years or whatever. So it did the thing. It was good. Gameplay out of control. And yeah. So let's score this game. And out of 10, 9.5 out of 10. Does not hit the 10 out of 10. And I am a little bit of a bitch when it comes to 10 out of 10s. You gotta fucking knock my socks off. And the big challenge and honestly, a 9.5 out of 10, if I told myself like a year ago that I'd be giving Tears of the Kingdom 9.5 out of 10, I'd be a little bit shocked, honestly, because Breath of the Wild, it might be a 10 because that was the first experience. That's the thing, right? I've already had this experience with Breath of the Wild. It's not new no more, but I can't deny that what they did new in this game was not fucking incredible. It is absolutely mind-blowing. But there was enough of the old stuff there that it didn't capture the magic of what was my Breath of the Wild experience quite. But it was I'm blown away with what they were able to do. I wasn't expecting it to be as close to as incredible an experience as it was for me with Breath of the Wild. Like, amazing sequel. I mean, I'm shocked there's so much in here. I'm shocked at how big this game is. It's so big. Not just in terms of shit you can do. It's huge. It's at least 3 times the size of Breath of the Wild, because now you got the underground and the sky. So I'm blown away. It's a must-own for any Nintendo person. I think it's a must-play for any gamer. And it's a shame that these games aren't, like, available on PC and shit. It's a must-play. It's incredible. It's going to be on a lot of people's game of the years for this year, and rightfully so. I don't blame them. It's a very good chance it's going to be on mine too, but I want to challenge it, and I will challenge you. What did you think of Tears of the Kingdom? Did you play it? Are you skipping it? No interest whatsoever? Are you like my friend Kyle, who I'm going to throw under the bus right now, and has never played a Legend of Zelda game ever in his life? Cal? You hear me, Cal? You fucking play Legend of Zelda. I'll let you borrow it. Anyway, let me know what you thought of this game. Do you think it's overrated? Do you think they went the wrong direction? Do you think they should have went back to like 2D, like over overhead view back to the Super Nintendo days, I like those games too. I played Link to the Past for the first time last year and loved it. I don't think there's anything wrong with variety. I kind of like it the way that Mario does it. They have their 2D and their 3D games. What's wrong with having both? I think Zelda thrives in both. I think it's an incredible 3D experience and an incredible 2D experience. So, curious to hear what y'all think of Breath of the Wild. Do you like it going open world? What do you like about this game? What did you not like about this game? Is it a perfect 10 for you? Is it the greatest game you've ever played in your entire life? I will say I preferred Breath of the Wild, my experience over Tears of the Kingdom, but by far Tears of the Kingdom is the better video game. There's so much more to it, right? So, and that's how it should be. If Breath of the Wild was a better game mechanically, I'd be very concerned. I'd be like, what the fuck? But no, they went very, very forward. They improved on just about everything they did in Breath of the Wild. It's just that, there's only that for one-time experience, and my first experience with Breath of the Wild, that was magic. So, but can't miss this game. We're gonna be talking about it for a long, long time. So let me know what you think. Let me know what you think of this game, and that's it, everybody. Thank you so much for listening and waiting so patiently for my final of the finale for the Tears of the Kingdom. I mean, where do we go next from here? Well, I've already selected my next game, and that's, well, not for this episode, but I'm already moving on to my next game. It's going to be Horizon Forbidden West. So that's going to be my next big game that I'm going to take down. It's downloaded and ready to go. So I'm probably just going to go play it right after I'm finished doing this. So as always, thank you guys so much for listening. You're awesome. Review the podcast. Let me know what you're thinking of it and all that great stuff. Let your friends know. These episodes get uploaded to YouTube, so you can go watch them over there. It's a great place to leave comments for the podcast. If you want to get read live on an episode, leave a question in the comment box, send an email, go on Twitter or X, whatever the hell, send a message there. Excuse me. All the links are down there below. You can follow there. All that great stuff on the docket coming up. Like I said, I am working on Final Fantasy VII, but I'm going to have to beat that game before I can get through it. Mostly just a mystery right now. It's just like a lot of pans on the stove right now, and I'm just waiting to see which one's going to be finished first. So definitely a lot on the docket, just don't know exactly what. So keep your eyes out on X or on YouTube, and I'll probably announce whatever I want to talk about next in terms of video games. Hockey and wrestling, it's going to be their weekly basis. Hockey, we're not far away from the big, preseason's getting closer. We're getting closer to September, so going to be starting the season previews. We're going to start diving into the teams and what I think they're going to be able to do in this upcoming season and all that stuff. And my wife and I are going to SmackDown this Friday, so we're going to be going there, watching it live. So the WrestleCast might be a little bit different this week because I'm going to be doing like a I'm going to be there live, so it's going to be a lot of fun. You're going to hear crazy stories of what goes on at the live SmackDown this Friday. It's going to be fucking nuts because it might be the last time Edge is in Canada. So it's going to be a party in Canada and Toronto. I cannot freaking wait. And thank you, as always, again, for listening. You guys are awesome. We'll be back again soon with more GX Plus Cast.